Hello guys and welcome back to the With a Minute to Go podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video if you do enjoy it, and smash that notification bell so you don't miss a thing. You can also find us on Spotify by typing in With a Minute to Go or by clicking the link via our social medias on Instagram and Twitter at WAMTGpod. So before we get into today's episode, I think it's worth quickly addressing what happened with last week's episode. Basically we recorded about probably 80% of it, 40 minutes worth. And then our internet just gave up pretty much. It kept cutting out and we just couldn't finish the episode. So something that we seem to reiterate quite often is that we're very much both quality over quantity, and if it's not quite right we won't release it. It's as simple as that. We obviously try to minimise those weeks. A few weeks back obviously Matt had a trip to Hereford and we couldn't do it. But yeah, overall if we can sort of minimise that, then that's for the best. But yeah, back today in a slightly different setting, as you can see if you're watching on YouTube. As we promised, we're all together today ready to discuss the Carabao Cup, take an in-depth look at Spurs and Man City. As ever, we're joined by Matt. How are you, mate?
Yeah, really good.
Yep, good. And our guest today, a Spurs fan who I'm sure will have a lot to say about both Mourinho being sacked and obviously the Carabao Cup Final. Tom, nice to have you back.
Yeah, great to be back on. Lots to talk about today.
Yes, definitely. So last time I didn't really give you an opportunity to explain what your pod is about, so far away.
Yeah, so I run a pod with my friend Chris. So I'm the host, and it's called FPL Apprentices. So we talk all things FPL over there. Only up on Spotify at the moment. We had you on a few times, and we mainly just go through how our game weeks have gone on FPL, talk about the hot topics, and just we have a good prediction game going as well. And yeah, we just talk about all things FPL and then touch on football stuff related things, and yeah, just get a good discussion going.
Yeah, definitely. Like you said, I've been on a few times. I really enjoy it. Obviously, we did an episode on Tuesday where we discussed the European Super League. That doesn't have too much relevance now, obviously, but you know, it was great to hear about you and Chris's obviously views about it. Both were all very passionate on it, to be honest, and it was obviously a very concerning time for us. But then that was dealt with about 30 minutes after we finished recording, isn't it? So all good in the end. We'll get straight into it. We'll talk about the Carabao Cup and we'll talk about Spurs to start with. Now, Tom, obviously the timing of this sacking for Mourinho is slightly odd with the final looming on Sunday. There's a numerous amount of theories about why he could have been sacked. Something I heard, there was a leaked WhatsApp conversation where Jamie Redknapp actually said that it cost Tottenham less money to sack Mourinho while they're outside the top four. I think it was. So, you know, short term slightly odd, but what I wanted to ask was, do you think long term the sacking of Mourinho is a sensible move for Tottenham?
Yeah, I do. I think the time it was done, I was surprised because of the final at the weekend. But I think the results weren't coming in, and especially with fans coming back as well. He plays boring style. If you're not winning when you're playing boring, like no one wants to watch that. We're not picking up enough results. But yeah, long term definitely good, but short term, I don't know. We have to see after Sunday. But I wasn't too happy to see that he'd gone before the Carabao Cup. Yeah,
I mean, obviously for me and Matt, both Arsenal fans, I've got to be honest with you, I was slightly disappointed to read the news that he was gone. You seem to be on a downward spiral since that Champions League final in 2019. So yeah, a bit of a strange one, but you know, long term it probably will be for the better.
Yeah.
Regarding the interim job, there's been a bit of talk around why Dele King actually didn't get the job. Obviously he's been involved with the first team in and around that with Mourinho. The under-18s coach Ryan Mason was favoured instead. Does that say maybe the club was slightly frustrated with Jose's negative style of play, and obviously Ryan Mason was at Tottenham during those Mauricio Pochettino years, a slightly more attacking style of play? Do you think that on Sunday he'll take that into the final against City?
I'm not sure, because I think Dele King played at Spurs when they played in a better style of football. So I'm not sure. It was a little bit of a surprise for me. I'll be honest. I thought he was just the obvious candidate for the immediate future, and with a game coming up, I think he was the Tottenham captain when they last won a trophy, I'd imagine, 2008.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm not sure. He may or may not have played in that game, but he would have been the club captain at the time. I think when you go from within, you're looking at what they have in Ryan Mason is someone who is a Spurs man, who'd come through at Spurs and obviously played in the first team under Pochettino. I was a little bit surprised. I think he is still on the coaching team, Dele King. It may be that he didn't want the job. Sometimes that is the case. I've thought about it many times with Arsenal. Do you want a club legend as such taking on the job? I okay, we got Mikel Arteta, but for me, I don't class him as a club legend. But sometimes that can tarnish a reputation. But I think Ledley King's ambitious, and I think I wouldn't be surprised if he said no. But I think surely that's his ambition to be manager, or a manager of some description. And ultimately probably at Spurs. So a little bit surprised, but what a great opportunity for such a young man to who's had some terrible luck in his career and horrendous injury. But got back on. Obviously, got back in at Spurs. I think he obviously come back when Pochettino was still manager, and has seen him working day in day out, not just as a player but probably on the other side a little bit as well. So what a great opportunity for him. I watched the game last night. Don't maybe come on to it. I thought they looked marginally better. I'm not surprised certain players are coming back in the fold, and probably see that game on Sunday. So, I think a bit surprised, like Tom, in terms of the timing of the sack-in, but also not surprised because I'll be honest, I never thought he was a Spurs manager, Mourinho. No. I thought, he was the most high-profile candidate they could have got at the time, but he probably wasn't the right candidate, and here we are. What is it? Is it 18 months? Is there later on? Yep. And I think everyone's been proved right.
Yeah. So looking ahead to Sunday, now Mourinho had a very successful time of it in November at White Hart Lane, beating Man City 2-0 in a fairly defensive performance. He caught Man City on the counter attack. I seem to remember they pretty much dominated that game. Do you think it will be a fairly similar occasion this Sunday?
I don't think they will defend. I don't think Spurs can defend like that, because I don't think defensively they're good enough. I think if they sit back, Man City will pick them off. I think they're better going forward, and Tom will know more than any of us do, that they are better going forward with the personnel they got. Okay, there's a couple of question marks injury wise, but they're better. They're probably better going and having a go at Man City. I watched the City game last night. Villa had a go at them a bit, especially early on. Obviously, Stones was sent off, so he's out the final now, and that will make a difference. Maybe they've still got quality personnel to come in, but I think they've got to go and have a go at Man City. Okay, does that leave them slightly open? Yes, it does, and Man City don't need you to leave open to cut you up, and but that's probably the best way to go. If you sit back, I think Man City will still pick you off, and the chance of you scoring is obviously a lot less.
Yeah. Tom, would you agree with that?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. We can't sit back and defend, and I think like Matt was saying, the quality in our attacks are really good, and our defence is just awful. And even under Mourinho, who favours defensive performances, he still couldn't get it sorted. So yeah, I think we got to attack the game, even if the likes of Kane are out, we've still got quality like Son, Bale to attack the game.
Yeah, now for me it would be an interesting one. I honestly couldn't really call it at the moment, but for me, I do genuinely think Tottenham had a better chance of winning it with Mourinho in charge, just due to the fact that if he does sort them out and get it right on the day, there's, for me, not much Guardiola can do about it. But it'll be very interesting to see what Ryan Mason does. Now, another thing I wanted to move on to was, I don't think happy is the right word, because of course they'll be happy, if they do win a trophy. But off the back of such a strong start to the season, obviously they were top of the league in the back end of November. Would winning a Carabao Cup be satisfactory for Spurs fans? Or did that boat really sail when they went out 3-0 to Zagreb and gave up the chance at a major European honour, I think it's fair to say, with the Europa League and an easier route back into the Champions League rather than achieving fourth in the Premier League?
I think definitely we want to get Champions League. I think if we win the Carabao Cup, obviously it's a small positive, but if we're not there in the European football for next season, I think it's still a bad season. Obviously, the embarrassment of Zagreb, that was a horrible day. But yeah, this Carabao Cup will bring. Obviously, it's a trophy that we haven't won in a while. But so it'll be good to win it, definitely. But would I say it's a good season? I don't think so. If we don't get Champions League, and obviously if we don't get Europa League, then it'll be awful. But I think it's a positive to a bad season. But if we don't end up getting European football, then obviously it's been a terrible season.
Yeah, I mean, for me, a trophy is a trophy at the end of the day, and like you said, you haven't won a trophy for a while, since 2008. So obviously, looking at that start of the season, it was very good, and to be honest, we were pretty worried looking at the top of the league. But you went and Spursed it up again, thank God. Matt, what I was going to ask was, Who do you think could come in and take Tottenham forward long term? I was maybe thinking it's a difficult question. I know. I was looking at someone maybe a younger model, as we discussed on FPL Apprentices last week. Maybe someone like an Eddie Howe, or would they be looking towards the European leagues and maybe like a Pochettino coming back in or something like that?
Well, I think Eddie Howe is probably too big a job for Eddie Howe. I'd say he hasn't managed in Europe, hasn't managed really outside of Bournemouth. He had that spell at Burnley and that was terrible, and went back to Bournemouth. So, but look, I think Eddie Howe's been linked with the Celtic job, and that'd be quite interesting if he did take that job. Again, a massive job, but it's a difficult one. I think you can look at it two ways. The appointment of Ryan Mason suggests, and to the end of the season suggests that maybe they're looking at someone who is currently a manager somewhere else. I think Brendan Rodgers has been talked about, Nagelsmann at Leipzig. But he looks like he's probably going to go to Bayern Munich. Obviously, I think they've announced in the last few days that Hansi Flick's going to move on.
Yes, yeah.
He looks like he could possibly get the Germany national team job. Again, all possibilities. I think as a German manager, Nagelsmann, and very highly thought of, he's not going to turn down Bayern Munich, is he? If that's who they want.
No.
But I think probably that he's probably would be the best candidate for Spurs.
Yeah.
Brendan Rodgers would be unbelievable for them.
So what about if I threw at you someone that I've had a quick think about, someone that maybe could do with a bit of Premier League experience, Steven Gerrard?
Yeah, potentially. I think it would be a big job for him. I think it'd be a massive job for him. That's where Brendan Rodgers, I think, is another one that fits the bill. Experience.
Yes. Yeah.
Doing really well at Leicester with a really strong squad. Now, if Leicester are Champions League and Spurs are Europa League or not Europa League, does he want to go? Possibly. I've been told by someone that basically he was up for the job before Mourinho.
Right.
Before he went to Leicester, but he'd already decided he was going to go to Leicester. So whether they go back in for him, they're obviously were interested in before. Now, it is a difficult one. A lot of people would sit here and say Brendan Rodgers would be daft to turn down Spurs. I think a lot will depend on how the season finishes, especially for Leicester. At the minute, prime position to be in the Champions League next year and really have a go with the right investment, which actually we know Leicester probably have got finances to do that. So it'll be an interesting one. I think a younger manager will probably be what they're looking for, but if the right one's not out there, I think I think in Italy, I think Sarri is linked with Spurs.
Yes, I've seen that as well.
I don't know how Spurs fans feel about that, but
interesting.
I'm not sure about that one, but it'd be interesting. You'd like to think the fact that they've made this decision, that there's people in mind. There's certainly people in mind, and there's probably been contact with a couple of or two or three managers. These things don't just happen where they're sacked. Their talks would have happened. So interesting. I say I'm not sure about Eddie Howe, but say Brendan Rodgers, I think would be the one that a lot of Spurs fans would want.
Well, I mean, for me, the appointment of obviously Mourinho back in, I think it was November 2019, was a real statement of intent to show that actually they are serious about winning trophies. So someone like a Brendan Rodgers, who obviously he didn't quite do it at Liverpool, but he was close. He went away, applied his trade at Celtic, and has come back with Leicester and has been very impressive. Would you be happy with Rodgers?
Yeah, definitely. I really like him as a manager, and obviously we've seen what he's done at Leicester. He's competing against the best in the world in the Premier League, and he's getting in the top four. Obviously they bottled it last year, just about, which was a shame for them. But definitely, I'd be very happy with him at Spurs. But can I see it? Will he leave Leicester? I don't know. Obviously, if they get Champions League, like Matt was saying, and Spurs don't, would you really want to come to Spurs then? Maybe bigger club, but I don't know. I would like to see it, but I don't think it'll happen.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't like to see it. Got to be honest. He's very much impressed me this year. Leicester have had a lot of injuries. Maddison, Barnes, Vardy, pretty notable ones. Obviously, Inacho's come in and really filled that spot. So yeah, Brendan Rodgers, Eddie Howe, Nagelsmann, all good shouts for that job. Obviously, Harry Kane didn't play last night against Southampton. I'm not sure what his situation is ahead of Sunday, but if he can't play due to the injury, would you start Carlos Vinicius up top and go with that out-and-out striking option, or would you move someone like a Dele Alli, who obviously Ryan Mason played a lot with? They're probably mates. and move him into that false nine position with someone like a Lucas Moura as well, maybe to fill that gap, and drop into those attacking midfield areas. And would that false nine sort of help the counter-attacking football idea if he does go with that?
I was thinking about this with Vinicius playing. I think he's had, well, not spells really, because he hasn't played loads, but when he's played, he's looked alright. I think he takes his chances alright. I mean, he's not the best. Would I want him leading us into a cup final? Not particularly. I think Dele Alli, I would have liked to see him play yesterday, to be honest, because I was hoping, because obviously Ryan Mason, I think there's more chance for players like Dele Alli, Harry Winks, people like that, for him to get a chance. He hasn't played in so long. I don't think he'll start. I think someone like a Moura up front, a Bale up front, with a Son, them like switching up a bit like City do with their striker when they don't play with a striker, like you're saying, the false nine, switching it up a bit, because if we can use the pace, it means our players won't be able to get marked. Players like Son can explode, but if Kane doesn't play, I can't see much hope.
Yeah, Matt, what do you reckon? You agreeing with that, or can you see? I know we've talked about it off camera. Tottenham do seem to pluck it out of nowhere and bring players back from injury, so Harry Kane could be there.
Yeah, he'll play, won't he?
Yeah,
I think he will play.
Yeah.
And even, well, I mean, if he's not 100% fit, he'll still play. Yeah. Could it be the detriment longer term? And we look at the Euros coming up in the summer, possibly. Yeah. But I think it's a game he doesn't want to miss. Yeah. I think. If you listen to his supposed comments in the last couple of weeks, or actually his comments over the last few years, and I think people keep dragging up an interview where he said that he likes to have won X amount of trophies by this time, and if not, then he's going to have to reevaluate. Which is, for a player of that ability, you can't argue with that. He will not want to miss an opportunity to win a trophy. No. And if this is going to be his final season at Spurs, which is very much up in the air at the minute, and I think the manager will have a massive say on how they go. And I generally believe that Mourinho part of the sacking is the fact that they need to try and keep Harry Kane around. As much as he's come out on social media and thanked the boss and blah, 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 I think Harry Kane's either watching on while he's been injured or playing in a team that are very defensive, and he's looking at it with a lot of good attacking options, and he's thinking, well, actually, hang on a minute, So I think that was probably a part of it. But I think he personally will play. If he doesn't play, I would probably see a Moura down the middle in a three with Son and Bale. Bergwijn doesn't seem to be fancied recently. I come off the bench yesterday, I think. That's probably where they go. But again, I wouldn't be surprised. Ryan Mason has got the job at the minute, and I think he'll probably play down the long term and having it as a permanent thing. But if you've got that opportunity, surely now, if he can win a cup tomorrow and get Spurs in the top four, which is still possible, cup on Sunday,
definitely.
Why can't he have the permanent job?
100%. We've seen it with managers like Ole before. He's coming to Man United, obviously part-time, taking over from Mourinho again, another one that came in after Mourinho, and he did fantastically well. So, and he stayed on. So I suppose it is an option.
I think also that it's a bit of love for the players. I think Paul Pogba's interview about Mourinho comes out, and then a few days later he gets sacked. I think we always talk about Mourinho throwing his players under the bus, and I think actually as Ryan Mason come in and put his arm around a few players, not just those that have been sort of pushed to the side. Talked about Winks and Ali and even Danny Rose. Those sort of players I've forgotten about. Actually, Rose is probably one that probably doesn't get close to the team, because actually left back, pretty solid at the minute. But it's putting his arm around the players and giving them a little bit more encouragement. Where I think Mourinho, like he does at many clubs, it got to a stage where it's not working anymore, and you're going to be the scapegoat, not me. So that could work in his favour massively.
Yeah, 100%. It will be interesting to see how Mason goes on Sunday, if he does throw the likes of Dele Alli back in there. I'm not sure I can see that happening, but you just don't know with the new manager coming in, and maybe they could have a bit of a bounce going into Sunday, and we saw that example last night at home to Southampton. Move on then to Man City, and now Matt, I'm going to start with the goalkeeping position, because Zach Steffen, he's played all of the rounds leading up to the final on Sunday. A pretty poor performance, I think it's fair to say, on Saturday against Chelsea in the semi-final of the FA Cup. Some indecisive goalkeeping. Would you bring back Edison in for this final?
If I was Man City manager, yes, I would. But I'm not sure if Pep will. I'm not saying he's stubborn, but that's his team. That's who he's going to play. It does have a massive difference on the team as a whole. I think any side, when you change the goalie and you're playing with a normal back four, it has a massive effect, and the confidence they have, the back four have in the goalkeeper, and knowing when he's going to come out and sweep and do, and work as a back five. But even more so when it's Ederson and the way that Man City play and getting on the ball and the quality, and watching that Chelsea game last Saturday against Man City. Yes, not only for the goal, he was a little bit too aggressive and wanted to come and give obviously an open goal for Ziyech, but actually just on the ball. No one's as good as Ederson in the league, so we're not expecting him to be, but obviously you can see a difference there in the way they want to play. So I think for such a big game for myself, I would bring Ederson in. I'd probably say it's 50-50 who will play. Probably more 50-50. You wouldn't be surprised if Stefan stayed in. I think as Arsenal fans for years, the cup goalkeeper. I know Spurs don't really do it as much. Lloris plays generally 9 times out of 10, doesn't he?
Yeah.
I know Joe Hart's obviously played in sort of lesser rounds, but we've had it at Arsenal for years where even getting to cup finals, the cup keeper has still played in the cup finals. And it's that little bit of loyalty, which I understand massively. And being in an environment that I'm in and working with a number 2 goalkeeper as well, it is a tough. It's a tough gig because you're not playing, you're doing all the prep, and then you get to it's like doing the revision for an exam and never sitting the exam. So yeah, look, that's where I think I say it could go either way. I think Man City obviously are better off with Ederson, but we shall see.
Well, we're getting a bit of wind at the moment. Interesting conditions. I think it's full credit to Manchester City's squad depth that Stefan's been able to play, and to be honest, he's been pretty good from what I've seen, apart from the last couple of weeks and obviously that mistake against Chelsea. The other thing was Pep made 8 changes on Wednesday night against Villa, after putting out a weaker team against Chelsea, I think it's fair to say. Could you see him going with a pretty identical lineup on Sunday to the one he put out on Wednesday?
Yeah, I think so. I think especially after what happened at Chelsea, them losing, I think it's the final. He's surely got to play his best team, and I think yesterday, looking at that lineup, apart from De Bruyne, who's obviously injured, I think that was mostly their best team. And I think he's got to go with that. Obviously, some players can't play, injury, suspension. But yeah, I think he's got to go with that. Yeah,
definitely. And obviously, yesterday John Stones was sent off for City. Laporte can come in and do a job, but for me, Stones and Diaz, that partnership has been so crucial for them this year. Just how costly will that be?
Yeah, it's interesting because I saw he got sent off, and I was like, yes, he's missing the final. I was talking to a few other people I'm friends with that are Spurs fans, and I was like, it's a good thing because obviously their partnership, but I always feel like there is still a mistake in Stones. Obviously, we saw with England when they first kicked off, the ball rolled under his foot or something. I do think that there is always a mistake in him, and Laporte's come in a bit more experienced, probably experienced a bit more. Obviously, played a lot more last year. I think it's good the partnership's gone, but it's sort of like a 50-50. Is it good or bad? Because there is a mistake in Stones. I think overall you've got to say the partnership's ruined, so that should be a benefit for Spurs.
Yeah, Matt, you agreeing with that, or?
Yeah, I think so. You're right in what you said with John Stones, and he has got a mistake in him, and even if the Villa goal last night, he's gone with his wrong foot trying to clear it. Gone with his weaker left foot rather than his stronger right, and you question yourself. The interesting bit will be Laporte is left-footed, and he'll come and want to play on the left side, whereas I think Stones normally plays on the right.
Yeah.
So that will be a little bit of an adjustment. But again, if you've got a £60 million centre half sitting on the bench that can just come in and that, I don't think there's any problems there.
100%.
I think when Man City was struggling last year defensively, Laporte was sort of the consistent one. Not bad. I mean, it shows how well John Stones has done to get back in ahead of Laporte and be the regular, and going into a game on Sunday be, obviously disappointed that he's not playing. But I think, strength of Man City. 8 changes 100%. The other night can come in and bring in a player like that. Wow.
Yeah, it comes down to that squad depth. We say it all the time, but it is ridiculous. And to be honest, we've had, it's been in the news this week. There's been a lot of controversy surrounding the owners of the big clubs, but Man City are one of the clubs that have actually really benefited from it. The investment they've put in, serious money, and that's why that really reflects in the success they've had. Now, finals are often considered games that don't really require any form. They're one-off games, any team can win. But Man City do have such an excellent record in this competition. They've won it the last four of the last 5 years. Sorry, does that give them an obvious advantage over Tottenham, who obviously haven't won anything since 2008?
Yeah, I think definitely, and like you said, most of the players in that team are experienced winners. See, most of them have won the league in that team. They've won obviously the Carabao Cup as well, and it does give you experience. I mean, you look at Spurs, obviously Champions League final we got to couple of years back, but a lot less experience. That Spurs team, not as good at obviously holding on to leads, not as good as playing it out. And we see City will just know how to. They're more experienced, and obviously Pep's experience with finals as well, and he'll know how to set up City.
Yeah, like we said, man to man, Tottenham can do them on a day. We've seen that in November, the 2-0 win. Do you think that extra experience in cup finals will help City?
And better players, yeah. I think that, but that's, we could joke about it, but you know, on paper, the better side. Yes, there is some Spurs players that will get into the Manchester City team, with Kane's and possibly Son. Not many more, but that's what I think. And you know, Man City are clear at the top. You know, they're only 3 wins to win the league, but it's pretty much done. I think fair play to Man United for actually making it some sort of contest. It's not really a contest, but have actually made them really work for it at the end, and obviously still need to win. I think 3 out of 5 to guarantee it, possibly. So, but yeah, look, Man City are, you know, far better side. We'll get on to what we think lineup wise, but there'll be some very good players and not in the predicted lineup, and that just shows that, you know, we keep banging on about the strength in depth, at 8 out, 8 in. You know, Phil Foden last night was absolutely magnificent, you know, and scary. And actually, he could be one that I think he will play. But if he didn't play on Sunday, you know, that'd be because there's other quality players that are going to play in his place. So, they're top of the league. You know, like you said, their form in the Carabao Cup is unbelievable, and that is probably because they maybe take it most serious out of everyone, but also because they've got the best squad depth. You know, a little bit of both there, but again, you know, I fully expect them to put out the strongest team they can.
100%.
And, it'd be a good game.
Now, final thing I wanted to say was Kevin De Bruyne could be out of the game on Sunday, and now I did a bit of research, and as of February 2021, this is just the Premier League. Man City have had a win percentage of 69.05% with De Bruyne. Without De Bruyne, they've had a win percentage of 63.8%. And now my point really is, I don't feel as if, you know, him playing or not playing has much impact either way on City. You know, you've got your players like we've mentioned, Mahrez, Bernardo Silva, Gundogan, Sterling, Foden, Bernardo Silva, just said him already, Ferran Torres. Do you think City will have less or more of a chance without him?
I think you look at City, you compare City and Tottenham. Kane's out, Tottenham are in big trouble. De Bruyne's out. Well, I mean, he's one of the best players in the world, but they cope fine. Gundogan stepped up. You saw in the Prem, like you mentioned, all the other players. I think they'll do just as well without him. Obviously, he's a miss because he, like you said, he's world class. But they've got the players to step up and do it, and I think they'll be fine without him. But yeah, I think they'll cope fine without him.
Yep, Matt.
Well, I think every Spurs fan would rather he didn't play than he played, and that's probably it, isn't it? Really, you know, he is. You know, Tom's right. He's up there. You know, one of, if not the best midfielder, certainly in the world. It's interesting because they've been playing him in, you know, over this season, playing him in a number of positions. Away at Chelsea, they won 3-0. I think he played as a false 9.
Yeah, ridiculous that day.
Yeah, fantastic. But also, obviously, more central midfield, getting on the ball and dictating the play and really breaking the line. So, look, they will miss him, of course, but it'll probably more alter what they do with the front three rather than in midfield, because we've talked about Rodri and Gundogan will just sit in there, no problem. Foden comes in, and you know the quality he has. So, you know, Spurs fans will be happy if he doesn't play. Man City fans will be disappointed if he doesn't play. So that just shows you sort of the quality of him.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we've talked about the players that might or might not play. We'll go into our predicted lineups for the game. Now, Matt, I've got you to do Man City. Tom, I've got you to do Spurs. So, Tom, I'll let you go first with your lineup.
Yeah, I think when you asked to do this, it was a bit harder. Obviously, now Mourinho's left, new managers come in. So I based it a bit off yesterday's lineup, who I think could come in. So Lloris in goal, obviously. Yeah. And I think the back four will be Aurier, Dyer, Alderweireld and Reguilon, just because they played yesterday, they won. Obviously, they didn't keep a clean sheet, but Sanchez won't play, Rodin can't play, so I think it will be Dyer there, back there, Toby. And then I've got Højbjerg, obviously he'll play, and then I've put in Winks over in Dombele. Now, I'm not now again I'm not sure on him, but I was very impressed when he came on. Obviously, English as well. Ryan Mason's English. I know it's a bit of a weird.
No, you've got a point. You've got a point.
There's a thing there, and then So those two in there. I think also Winks is a bit more better defensively than Ndombele, and we're playing City, so I prefer Winks to probably start, or maybe a Sissoko, but don't know again if Ryan Mason likes him. And then the attack, got Lo Celso in there, Son, Kane, because like Matt was saying, I think Kane starts. And then the final position, I've put Moura. I have a feeling Bale might start, but I've gone with Moura because he'll do more running around and he works harder than Bale. And against a team like City, you'd want a player like Moura playing tracks back, and he's a bit faster than Bale. So yeah, that's my team. I'll run it through it without any pauses. Lloris, Aurier, Dyer, Alderweireld, Reguilon, Højbjerg, Winks, Lo Celso, Son, Moura, Kane.
Yeah. Now I want to touch more on Harry Winks. Now for me, playing Man City, you need to control that midfield area. I think he could go actually with someone like a Ndombele. I'm not sure if Sissoko's fit or not, but he's another option as well. So Harry Winks, I'm not quite sure about that, mate. I've got to be honest with you, Matt. What do you think?
I wouldn't be surprised if he played, because I think on the ball, you keep the ball. I think when you play Man City, you know you're probably going to have less possession, but when you do get the ball, you've got to make something happen.
Yeah.
You know, and keep the ball. Give yourself a chance to have a breather if you're defending for a while.
Yeah,
you know, so maybe that's a little one to have a look at there with him and the quality he has on the ball, because he has no doubt good quality on the ball. So again, I wouldn't be surprised, as like Tom said. I think Ryan Mason maybe switch it up a little bit, bring some different players in, and again, he is a Spurs man, and maybe that's what they need a little bit around the team. I think Gareth Bale will probably start as well. I think Chris Coleman's commentary last night. I think he's carrying him on his back as well. So finally he got man of the match.
He's probably saved him from a few seconds before, to be fair.
So but yeah, I think Bale will probably play.
Yeah, no, fair enough. Other than that, Tom, I've got to be honest that I can see a very, very similar lineup to that. Obviously hoping Harry Kane doesn't play, but we'll see how that goes. Matt, who have you gone with for your Man City lineup?
Yeah. So I've gone with Ederson.
Yep.
Again, like I said, a bit 50-50. I would play Ederson. I'm not sure if Guardiola will. Back four, Walker at right back and Zinchenko at left back. I think pretty obvious. They're the best two for me. You know, Mendy played against Chelsea, I think, and was poor.
Yeah.
Poor.
Very poor.
Cancelo probably a little bit unlucky, but I think Walker's solid. Centre halves pick themselves, Diaz and Laporte.
Yep.
I think Rodri and Gundogan will sit in midfield. Now the question is De Bruyne fit? If we say no, then it's going to be a little bit interesting. I'd imagine Foden will come into sort of number 10 role. Sterling will start. Didn't start last night. And then it's whether he plays Jesus as a central striker or whether he goes without the central striker. I'd imagine he probably will play Jesus, and it will be either Mahrez or Silva. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I'd probably say maybe Mahrez will probably over Silva. But what a good problem to have.
Yeah.
Crazy problem. But again, look, if De Bruyne comes in, it changes everything. I think if De Bruyne plays, Foden will play from one side. We might see De Bruyne in a false 9 position, and they just don't play Jesus. I think that'll be the interesting one, probably whether if he is fit. It doesn't look like he's going to be fit.
No.
I think, but that will obviously depend. I think whether Jesus plays or not.
For me, did Sterling play last night? I'm not sure if he did or not.
No, I don't think I'm on.
That's an interesting one, because from what I've seen of him this year, he hasn't been great. To be honest with you, he's been very inconsistent. So if he does start, or if he doesn't, I'm not quite sure what to think about that, to be honest. But overall, like you said, strength and depth is really Man City's strength. So yeah, for me, they could play a hell of a lot of players. They could probably get away with 15 or 16 and throw them into the starting 11, and you probably wouldn't see too much difference throughout the team there. Right, so Matt, just quickly before we move on, you famously said in our last podcast, and I quote, "The best thing for me is confident Spurs fans. When Spurs are confident, it goes wrong." And now, obviously, 2 days later, Arsenal went and beat them 2-1 in the North London derby. Another example of this ringing true would be the result of the year: Dinamo Zagreb beating Tottenham from behind 3-0 when they thought they breezed that tie, I think it's fair to say. However, this weekend, first final in 13 years, Tom, you're not confident. I don't think any Spurs fan is confident. Does that make you worried?
Is any team confident playing Man City? I don't know. You tell me. If Arsenal are playing them this weekend, I would not be confident.
Yeah.
I think if Real Madrid were playing them this weekend, I don't think Real Madrid would have been necessarily confident.
No.
I wouldn't be surprised if Spurs turned them over.
Yep.
I'm being genuine about that. I think Man City will win because actually, I think you'd be stupid to go against them. I think the quality they have. All right, they've had a couple of slip-ups, Leeds home game and Chelsea last week. If they play like they did against Chelsea, they'd be in trouble.
Yeah.
But I still don't think Spurs necessarily have the quality of Chelsea, especially defensively.
Yep.
You know, so I think if Man City are on their day and put in a performance like they have many times this year, then I think they will not have a problem. I think, again, it's a final. You talked about it, form's out the window. Spurs have got, if they get Harry Kane's fit, they've got a chance, haven't they?
Yeah, definitely. Right, we'll finish then with score predictions. Tom, I'll let you go first.
I would say City would win it, but I'm going to back Spurs like I did on my pod. 2-1 Spurs.
Yep, goal scorers?
Kane and I'll give Son the second one.
Okay. Matt?
3-0 City.
Oh, love that. I'm going to say 2-0 to City. I think maybe an early goal. Tottenham will push, and then maybe a later one. Will be interesting to see how that one goes. Obviously, we'll both be in the blue corner, so I would say best of luck for that, but I can't on this occasion. We'll move on then to the scout. Obviously, last week's episode it didn't come out, did it? So we can't discuss the week before that. But I'll go first in my player from last week, and it was Joe Willock, the man from Arsenal, popping up with another huge goal for Newcastle. It's great for him to get some minutes and boost his confidence, really. And he's really repaying Steve Bruce's faith in him. So it's nice to see that, and maybe there's calls for him to get back in that Arsenal squad for next year. Tom, who's your player?
So, the player I wanted to go with, Matt Stoll. Well, he didn't know I wanted him, obviously, but I checked it and saw that he'd taken him. So, I'm taking Harry Winks from last night's game, just because he hadn't played in so long under Mourinho. I've always liked him, and he came in yesterday, and I thought he played really well for a player that hadn't played much. He only came on for like 30 minutes, 25 minutes, but he came in and passed the ball well, worked hard. Obviously, he got the assist, won the pen. And yeah, he was just working really hard. I liked his tracking back as well, and his passing was good, and I didn't see him do anything wrong, and it was just good to see him come back from not playing for a while and see that he still had confidence as well. So I was just happy to see it, really. Yeah,
so I mean, to be honest, sometimes it's nice to have those players. Obviously, you said Winks for the final on Sunday. It's nice to have those players that don't really do anything wrong. They're not showstoppers, really, but they'll tick the game over. I think Arsenal have won in El Neni, who, well, he's variable, but when he comes in, he's usually pretty reliable. Matt, who was your player?
My player was Mason Greenwood, because you actually took mine, because I was going to go with Joe Willock.
Right,
so, but yeah, Mason Greenwood, 2 goals last weekend against Burnley. He's got 5 in his last 4 Premier League games. Scored a winner against Brighton as well. He scored the 3rd at Spurs, 2 against Burnley. He's still a young lad, 19 years old. I think clinical finisher. Left and right foot, unbelievable. It'd be interesting to see if he goes to the Euros this summer. I think he's probably one that's on the fence. It could go either way. I think probably down to whether there is injuries, but I say plays predominantly sort of from the right for Man United, cutting in on that left foot, but can go on the outside as well, which we've seen many times. But yeah, good weekend for him. A game Man United had to win, obviously went 1-0 down. So yeah, Mason Greenwood.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest, there's an abundance of attacking options for England this year, from all the way through the middle, the wings as well. You look at the likes of Sterling, Harvey Barnes, Rashford, obviously Greenwood on the other side. Saka could go as well and play a numerous amount of positions, so it will be interesting to see if Greenwood goes. Our players for the upcoming week, and now for me it was pretty straightforward looking at this. Gylfi Sigurdsson, he's been in great form for Everton, and he's really filled that goal scoring role that Calvert-Lewin's left, obviously due to his injury. For me, if Gabriel starts for Arsenal, it's game over. Everton will win that. I think he'll contribute in some form to the win, maybe a goal or an assist. I'm looking at the set pieces, free kicks. I know he scores quite a few. He scored a couple against Arsenal before. If they win a penalty, he's a banker to put it away. So for me, Sigurdsson this week is my player. Tom, who have you gone with?
Gone with Chris Wood, actually. So obviously he scored the weekend, but he got disallowed. I think it was the weekend gone.
Yep.
And again, I've been impressed with him lately. I think in a Burnley side that don't attack much. I mean, they've started to a bit more, but he does a good job. He's up there alone. He fights off the defenders well, wins the headers. He's playing Wolves, and I can see that game being quite a tight game. A lot of crosses in the box there from Burnley, like normal. I can see him bagging 1 or 2, I think, that game.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, I mean, Burnley Wolves is not a game that jumps off the page when I saw it, but you never know. Chris Wood seems to like playing those sorts of teams. Matt, who have you gone with?
I've gone with Danny Welbeck. I thought watching back I didn't watch it live, but watching back the highlights from the Chelsea game, he's really unlucky not to score. Really unlucky. He popped up with a couple of goals recently. He seems to be a regular figure in the Brighton team. Away at Sheffield United, sure, the 3 points for everyone. No, I don't think Brighton have necessarily been playing bad. A recent couple of 0-0 draws, Everton and Chelsea. To be fair, I think on paper you take those results.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think Welbeck, and I wouldn't be surprised if he notched a goal this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, for me, Sheffield United it's just exhibition matches for them from now on, for their fans, but who won't be too pleased to watch those games. But yeah, Brighton, it's another good opportunity to get 3 points on the board against a side who are already down. So yeah, and obviously Danny Welbeck's had a lot of injuries, so it's nice to see him back playing on a regular basis for Brighton. So we've gone through this pretty quick, to be honest, today. I've got to be honest. We're going to finish. Well, I say finish. It's quite a long quiz. It's a bit of a competition. So something that Tom started over on his podcast is the FPL Apprentices with a minute to go pod series. Now today we're starting our own series called Matt versus. Now obviously today is Matt versus Tom. A very simple format. I've got 10 questions, all based around the two teams competing in this Sunday's Carabao Cup Final. So Man City and Tottenham. You've both got unique buzzer noises. Matt, let's hear yours to start with.
Okay, let's find it.
Make sure it's in sync. Excellent. And Tom, if you can just play it to the mic when you get it.
Sorry, give me 1 second.
No worries, mate.
Get my sound up.
What do we think of Tottenham?
That's why you told me not to listen to it before.
Exactly. No, fair play, because I genuinely thought you'd have a listen to it. I know I would have if I was going to listen. So yeah, we thought we'd have a bit of fun with that.
Dear.
Right, interesting to see who wins this. To be honest, I've got to back Matt. I know Matt, his football knowledge is absolutely fantastic.
And pressure's on massively now.
Yeah, well,
my knowledge on Spurs and Man City is not great.
The first edition of Matt versus.
Yeah,
so
can't lose
to
that.
see.
No.
Yeah, no.
Right, here we go then. Question number 1. In the 2008 Carling Cup Final between Chelsea and Tottenham, Jonathan Woodgate scored Tottenham's winning goal, putting them 2-1 up in extra time. But who scored there first? Matt?
Oh, that's a massive guess.
Go on.
Jermaine Genius?
No, incorrect. Tom, I'll pass it over.
I honestly.
Yeah, I'll let you have to play that.
Yeah, I honestly have no idea. I know that the score was 2-1.
Yep.
But
I thought you were a Tottenham fan. You should know these sort of things.
Yeah, I was only 4 at the time.
No, good point. Good point.
I honestly have no idea.
Yep. Well, it was Dimitar Berbatov with a penalty in the 70th minute. Bit of a tough one to start on. That's fair enough. Right. So 0-0 after one question. Question number 2. Which goalkeeper has played the most minutes in this season's Premier League? Hugo Lloris or Edison? Yes, Matt.
Lloris.
Correct. Hugo Lloris with 2,970 minutes. Edison with 2,790 minutes. So overall a pretty tight one, but Matt with the first point, he's off the mark in this series. Right, question number 3. Man City beat Arsenal in the 2018 Carabao Cup Final. But what was the score?
3-0.
Yeah, well, to be fair, we were there for that, so we should know that. Matt's gone 2-0 up after 3 questions.
Gonna make a comeback.
Tom, I did warn you it'd be a tough one. This
Yeah.
Matt's knowledge is impeccable. Right, question number 4. 2 players currently in Manchester City's squad have won the Carabao Cup 5 times. Who are they?
What do we think of Tottenham?
That's Tom.
Aguero and Fernandinho.
Correct. Yes. Fantastic. Yeah. So that's 2-1 now after 4 questions. Question number 5. Who has scored the most Carabao Cup goals? Harry Kane or Sergio Aguero? Yeah, both buzzed there, but Matt got it just in time.
Aguero.
Yes, Kane with 6 goals, Aguero with 11. So Matt pulls 3-1 ahead. Be interesting to see if Tom can pull this back now. It's gonna be difficult.
Yep.
Right, question number 6. Who managed Spurs in their Carling Cup win in 2008? Oh, Matt again. He's got in straight away. Go on.
One Day Ramos.
It is correct. The man nearly took them down, and we're big fans of him. Matt is 4-1 up now. This is a bit of a battering, Tom. This is embarrassing, mate. I'm asking you Tottenham questions. You have a bloody clue.
Yeah, I know.
Score on Sunday, I think.
Hopefully. Right. Question number 7. Manchester City beat Sunderland 3-1 in the 2014 League Cup Final. Name any of their 3 goal scorers.
What do we think of Tottenham?
Aguero.
Incorrect. Matt, I've got to pass it over to you. Any of the
I
3?
could tell you he scored for Sunderland.
Yeah, Barini, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll watch that again.
He's Manchester City. Oh, I'm struggling here.
Yeah. Difficult one, isn't it?
No, I don't know. I have to pass.
Have to pass. Okay. Well, the 3 goal scorers on that day were Samir Nasri, Yaya Toure,
that was it.
and Jesus Navas.
Yaya scored an unbelievable goal in the top corner,
Yeah,
didn't he?
so that's still 4-1, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. 2 questions unanswered so far. Tom, you're gonna have to take every question from now on. There's one. There's one at the end that's multiple points though, so that gives you a chance to get back into it. Right. Question number 8. Name the 2 players who have played for both Manchester City and Spurs, who are still currently representing one of those clubs. Tom was first there.
Alright. Walker
Yes, Kyle Walker.
and Joe Hart.
Joe Hart, yes. Fantastic. He pulled it out of the
forgot that
bag
one,
there.
nearly forgot that one.
Yeah. It was. I looked at that. I thought that was going to be a bit of an easy question,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
actually on the spot, it's more difficult than you think. So what's that? 4-2 now. Right. Question number 9. Who's the youngest manager in Premier League history?
Right,
Mason.
Mason.
There it is. Yeah, I just thought.
Didn't get to the buzzer quick enough.
Yeah, you can't tell me you were 4 when that one happened.
Yeah.
Right. So what's that? 5-2 to Matt. Oh, 5-2. What an illustrious scoreline that is. Right, question number 10. Now this is a who am I? So 4 points for guessing after 1 clue. 3 points for obviously guessing after 2 clues. 2 points after 3 and 1 point for guessing after 4. So it gives you a chance to get back into it and actually win it if you can get it in the first couple of clues.
Great.
Right, I played for both Manchester City and Tottenham. No? Nobody? Okay. I am the all-time top goal scorer for my country. No? I'll give you a bit of time to think about it. It's a tough one, I've got to be honest. I've started with a tough one, but Matt, I'm expecting you to get this eventually, maybe.
Next.
No,
question.
next one, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, I was voted African Player of the Year in 2008. Matt has got there.
Emmanuel Adebayor.
It is Adebayor. I thought I'd throw that one out there. Obviously, Arsenal, Man City, Tottenham.
Goal
And that's it. So, Matt, you answered that on the 3rd clue. So that is, what's that? That's 2 points. So you've won that, what, 7-2?
Oh dear.
It's been a bit of a battering there.
Oh, dear.
Tom, anything to say for yourself?
I'm just pleased I got 2 points.
Yeah, 2 points is not bad against Matt, to be fair. We always struggle against him in quizzes. Right.
Good quiz there.
Yeah, good quiz.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm sure we'll carry on that series. Matt, you've gone 1 up in the Matt versus. So well done for that.
Thank you.
And well, we're pretty much at the end already. The first episode recording in person, I think, has been a success. Tom, it's been great to have you on, mate. Again, I won't wish you luck for Sunday, quite obviously, but yeah, it's been nice to have you back on, mate.
Yeah, been a great episode and great trying out this new setup. I think it's gone really well.
Yeah, definitely. Hopefully we'll be able to record out here again. Obviously it's nice and sunny today. If it's raining, then it's not going to be ideal, is it? But yeah, hopefully we can press on in this format. Matt, as ever, it's been a pleasure to have you on, mate.
Yep, enjoyed it, really have.
Yep, good stuff. And again, make sure to check out FPL Apprentices on Spotify. In a week tarnished by talk of European Super League, it's nice that the fans have reclaimed the beautiful game. Cheers, guys, and keep talking football.